You know, I like to talk fast, and, you know, tell the truth. There's nothing like the truth. And to be in Springfield, born and raised in Springfield, you know, the Bedells go back a long ways. You know, to have my uncles, come from a big family of 11 of us, 5 brothers, 6 sisters. Everybody sung, everybody played, all my brothers played, all my uncles played. And then when you say the Bedells, you say, well, Dave, well, wow, you gotta look deeper, you know? My dad, Leo Bedell, was a drummer. My grandma was a piano player. My Uncle Lloyd was a piano player. My Uncle Hurley, a drummer. My first cousin Bobby, a drummer. My brother Tommy, a drummer. My brother Larry, a drummer. So when it comes to rhythm, you know, and for the guitar part to come in the family, it came through my grandmother. Her family was minstrels, played throughout, and they was guitarists. So the guitar thing started forming back when I was about 15. Didn't have no idea about playing music. Music wasn't in the blood. When you come to family of 11 and being the 7th in the family, you learn different styles of music. You learn what was played. I was listening to songs I had no idea, but you know the animation that goes along with a big family comes, you learn all types of music. And in Springfield, you had to learn all types of music. Being a black musician, he was facing 2 things. One, you want to hear your music on the radio. That was out. 2, you want to see it on TV. That was out. So now you had 2 things to do. You had to learn everything you've seen on TV, which was Foley, country and western. Next thing you know, you was like in country and western. That's the bad thing about it. I didn't like country and western. That wasn't what I was hearing. But you learn how to like it. You liked it so much, the first thing you picked up was acoustic guitar. So you start listening to it, and then you start realizing, well, it's not so bad after all. The music side of it. Because you didn't have nobody to identify with. You have all your brothers and sisters, you come from a big family. Your dad will say, okay, now your Uncle Dave playing drums, I'm playing drums. You guitar players, forget about it. This is not in the mix. Do you understand what I'm saying? Guitar players do not belong. So my brother took a bunk bed, Joe, he took a bunk bed, tore the bunk bed ladder up, he had a fat rubber band, 6 rubber bands on it. He had 4, I had 4 rubber bands, he turned this into 6. So we go in the backyard, and that was how we figured out to start playing guitar. Then my brother Tommy was the oldest boy of the group. I say group because that's what we started as. He was a drummer. Uncle Dave taught Tommy. Tommy was a show drummer. We called him a show drummer because he would play the drums and he'd take the stick and hit the stick and bounce off the drums. And then he played, you listen to him talk about everybody that he was associated with, David Kirschenbaum, David Pease. These are musicians, Benny Mahan, Huey Wapo. You know, now these guys, those white dudes in the neighborhood, but they hung around all in the black community because that was what they was into. See, if you was going to play it, you got to go where it was happening at. And when you coming up as a young man like I was, I had to learn all of this by watching and listening to my brother play, listening to the people that my sisters and them on their little 45 playing 45. One sister thought she was Nancy Wilson, so she'll walk around the house thinking she's Nancy Wilson. All of a sudden, you listen to Nancy Wilson songs, and you have no idea because you don't play no Nancy Wilson instrument. So it came to pass after our dad died, but he was able to see us coming up and playing, and we decided to form a group. Now, remind you, everybody in my family was drummers, so we had. my dad wanted my brother Larry to play drums. He said, no, Larry, you're going to play drums. Tommy, you too old. Let these younger boys play. Now, my dad was strict. He was no nonsense. His name was Ernie Bedell. He no nonsense. Everybody knew my dad. He's a hard worker. And he cleaned up at the Landmark building. He had his own little business, but he was hard-nosed. He always said, well, this is not going to go, period. Case closed. There was a group called Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose, came to Springfield, and they came down to the American Legion to hear the Fabulous Elite play, and they wanted my brother Larry to come to start doing the show with them. They came over the house, 3 o'clock in the morning. Never forget, they're sitting there talking to my dad and my mom. We'd like to take your son with us on tour. My dad said, well, no. But you know, you can never say why he said that, but back then my brother Larry was only like 12 or 13. So he said no. So that done that. And if you were growing up in Springfield, you had, this group was called Fabulous Elites. And there's some pictures over there. And this picture, right on, and this picture, when I look at this picture, I got a picture, there's also a picture in the scrapbook of my grandmother's minstrel group. There's about 25 of them. And it was a traveling minstrel group. This picture here is the Fabulous Elites. Now, this Fabulous Elite group is funny. Every one of us, except for one guy, came out of Central High School. One guy came out of St. Agnes. The rest of us came out of Central High School, lived in a 5-block radius of National, Sherman, and Glenstone, all in that area. We all came out, and good kids, and the only thing we wanted to do was play music. That's all we wanted to do. And this guy right here, Tommy, my oldest brother, he's seen it. He's seen it. He's seen it. He's seen something there. So mind you, he was like 21. Everybody else in there was 18, 12, 15. So he was babysitting, but he also was no nonsense. He was the one I was saying that was a show drummer. Now he's a drummer. So when you coming up with a group this big, you learn how to play all kind of music. Everybody was from the same neighborhood. It's funny, the same neighborhood. Right 4 houses down from me was the Philharmonic singer, Mr. Alfred Cupp. Well, you know, if you mess up singing-wise, you got that Philharmonic dude right straight down the street from you. They're gonna tell you, hey, that ain't right. Well, if you go get your hair cut, Elbridge Moss, one of the Philharmonics, tells you, well, little Beatty, I heard y'all getting something together. Do it right. He'd jack your hair up. So this is what you up against when you're coming up in Springfield. You had to learn all type of music. I don't regret it, because now I get calls. I always have got calls, hey man, can you come and do this? Can you do the country gig? Yeah, okay, I can do it. Who you got, a jazz gig? Yeah, I can do it. Okay, we got an R&B gig? Yeah, come on, I'll do it. I learned all types of music. Do I like it? Well, you gotta like it. You either like it or love it. So when it becomes a part of you, you learn how to deal with different types. Now, it was hard to do it in Springfield because you couldn't listen to the radio. James Brown was outlawed at KWTO. No, that's serious talk. James Brown was outlawed. You couldn't listen to James Brown. They didn't play James Brown. So that was out. And when you have a band that size, if you couldn't play James Brown, you couldn't play good rhythm. That was it. If you couldn't play rhythm, you won't work when you start going down south, down around Memphis, where we was going to. That was strictly rhythm. Studio work, rhythm. Al Jackson, Booker T, Doug, all these guys I know personally, especially Doug. You can't, that was the key word. And when you down south, you better come on with it. That was it. And in Springfield, there wasn't a lot of places to play. you had a band with, you had a 13-piece band with 3 female singers, and they was all young kids. But we was able to play a lot of stuff in crowd, you know, had played a lot of stuff in Kansas City. Went to Kansas City, recorded our first 33 and a third. and that was an interesting thing, but that was done at a studio in Kansas City, Missouri. And we came back here, and then the band started doing a lot more. And when it started doing a lot more, when you come up playing strictly R&B, you know, and then they start breaking it down into categories. Well, I hate that. Always have been. Well, what you play? You play R&B, you play country, you play Western, you play folk? No, I play music. You know, so let's cut all the category stuff out. You know, I play music. I'm a musician, because you can call me up and I can play your gig if you want me to. Now, if I call you up, you're going to play the gig that I'm doing. Now, no matter what it is, and if you don't know it, man, we're going to have to practice it. But that is the way it is. It's music. Now, how I got into all these different categories, jazz, there's art, there is certain categories. You have to say there is categories. You got the jazz, rock. But when you have a band this big, you had to cover the whole spectrum, because most of your listening area back then was mixed. There's some places I didn't like to play. Thayer, Missouri. Didn't like to play Thayer, Missouri. Hate Thayer, Missouri. Still hate. Right? If you from there, sorry. Because there's some places when you grow up in Springfield, it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. It's just that you didn't have a lot of places to play. That's it. You know, and we had a good group, so we stayed on the road a lot. When Chico said, man, what went on in '67 after the Philharmonics? Well, looked like Kansas City Express and Fabulous Leaks was kicking it pretty hard. We didn't do a lot here, but a lot of people know that we had a 45 out that sold good, to where we was able to buy a 29-foot Chieftain Winnebago to travel all over town. When you're coming up, you fought a lot. And in the black community coming up, it was serious. Y'all just don't realize, it was serious. Our parents took it serious. I mean, one time, my brother Joe was a guitar player. He was the leader of the group. My brother Tommy was the manager. And this is how serious our parents took it. One time, Bobby Shockley, the tenor sax player, and Richard, the drummer, was late to practice. And we had a practice shack down in Silver Spring Park in a big old house. And it was late, so Joe said, Bobby, Richard, you're fined $5. Well, Joe got this idea. James Brown fined his fellas $5 to be late on practice. So Joe fined Bobby and Richard $5. Now, $5 back then, that was a chunk of money. I just like getting a ticket nowadays for $500, and you just ran a traffic light. And to show how the parents took it so hard, that night on Sherman Street, where my brother Tommy lived, Bobby and Richard's parents, their uncles, the aunties, about 3 carloads of people came over to Tommy's house. They was on the front porch, and the hooting and the hollering and the cussing began. And they was upset at Joe because Joe kicked Bobby and Richard out of practice. I mean, they were going to come to blows. I said, man, this is real. Well, I should have known it was real, because I've been around my dad now, so I know this wasn't a joke. And he kicked them out. So they came to an agreement. And Joe said, well, if you can make sure they learn their part, they can come back to practice tomorrow. And Miss Gloria looked at Bobby Richards and said, that's all right, they'll have their part tomorrow. And they had their part. So when they came to practice, we ran the show. It wasn't a joke. It was real, because we knew that once we start traveling and your belly gets to rolling, you only got one option. You had to go out there and perform so you can come back and do another show, or you won't eat. And there's guys out there know what I'm definitely talking about, you know. And we were just kids, but when we became the Express, we ran across a lot of guys, you know. We ran across grannies all the time, you know. Larry Lee and them, they ran across all these guys down south. We knew who they were because they all from the same area, you know. Everybody said, where you from? Well, Springfield, Missouri. Well, yeah, there's some bad dudes coming out of Springfield now. Don't think we just a whole bunch of Rudy Poots, you know, because there's some good musicians coming out of Springfield. And we had, I think the worstest time I can ever say growing up, when you wanted to be somebody, and when you idolize people like the Philharmonics, you know, and you're coming up in the elementary school, you wasn't thinking about no music. The only thing you want to be like, man, I want to be like the Philharmonics. So it's kind of like, okay, if you know there's somebody you want to be like, you might just go ahead and try to be like them. Well, we knew that we could, thank God for some teachers. We started out singing. And then when you got older, you get Uncle Dave's, okay, come on guys, I'm going to do my first drum show. I want you guys to play. So we done that. That was my very first gig. Uncle Dave. You know, then Uncle Dave leave, then next thing you know, Uncle Dave, Ed Shaughnessy, which some of you might know, Louis Blelson, all of them would be on my grandma's front porch, and she had a screen in her front porch. And man, jamming, Ed Shaughnessy, Uncle Dave, and Louis Blelson at my grandma's. Wow. You know, and then you're like, man, those some killer drummers. And as you grow up, you say, oh man, that's who we had over to grandma's house. You know, so you never think about this growing up, and then the older you get, you say, man, who I want to be like. Well, there's a lot of guys, me personally, I want to be like Dallas Barkley. You know, me and Donald Ships, when we was coming up, we all the same age. Donald used to come to my house, we would swap licks. And then next thing you know, I'll go to Donald's house, we'll swap licks. Donald said, hey, Ern, man, how you play this brown lick? I said, man, you play it like that. I said, hey, Donald, man, how you play this lick? Oh, man, it's a 7 chord. Play it like this. You know, me and Donald been swapping licks, man, for way back since high school. You know, killer bass player. There's some things he couldn't do, and some things I can do. That's what we done, swap licks. And then next thing you know, we bump heads. Where you going, man? Oh, man, we got to go down here in Memphis, man, do a show with Martha. I said, oh, man, we're going down here to do a show with Isaac Hayes, horn player, Tommy Williams. Catch you later. You know, we bumped heads, man, like that, you know. And you never hear nothing about that, because sometimes you get to talking about old stories that say, yeah, sure. So I don't talk about it. I really don't. I don't talk about it. This is the most I talked about it in 30 years. I don't talk about it. I really don't. You know, because some people say you're just pulling out air. Well, whatever. But you know, because you can't make up the truth. You can't make up the truth. And living in Springfield, you had to come with the truth, because there was guys like Ron Arnold had the in crowd. Boy, Ron, if it wasn't for Ron, man, our Sunday afternoons was being dead. Ron, man, I want you to the in crowd every Sunday. There we are, kicking at the in crowd. Larry Dixon, he's passed away. He used to be advertising. Larry Dixon has more stuff about the Fantasy Leagues than a lot of people think. I wish I could find out who was the kinfolks of Larry Dixon, because Larry Dixon was a good guy, advertising man. There was a TV show me and Chip were talking about earlier. That was the first TV show that the Fantasy Leagues played, and it had to do with St. Agnes, and there were some pictures that were taken, and this lady took them off the TV set and sent them to my mom. and never could find these pictures. We was all coming up, we was kids, and this is the kind of stuff that you cherish. But now, you know, I play everything. I play all kind of music. My brother's still playing. My brother Larry got two CDs out, another video. My brother Tommy doesn't play anymore. My brother Joe writes. I have a lot of things I'm gonna play, working on a new CD, featuring a jazz singer that was with last night, Angela King, real good singer. And still playing in town, don't play as much. Got this CD project that I wanna do. And I want to do it here in Springfield and the other part of it in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So that's what I have planned coming up here in the future as far as my music concerned. There's still a lot of Bedells out there playing. You know, there was one on TV. My nephew's son was on American Idol. He went all the way to California. He's writing now for some people down in Nashville. His name is Austin Bedell. That's my brother's Tommy's grandson. So he's doing fine. He's writing some. Matter of fact, he's trying to get some stuff now with Clint Black. So that's a good sign. So the name is still out there, and believe it or not, a lot of people throughout the country know that a lot of us came from Springfield, Missouri. You know, and they always say, well, was any blacks in Springfield, Missouri back then? I said, well, there's a few of us, but you're looking at the majority right here in this big old band. you know, but we love what we do, and there's a lot of people that I have to appreciate in town to help me be who I am. My dad, you know, and that's my cousin back there, King Clarence. You know, see what I'm saying? Man, no kidding, that's King. Yeah, bad boy. Yeah, I give props where props are due. Always will. You know, the people that helped me come up and make me who I am, I appreciate that. It was a rough road. It still is a rough road. I couldn't do it for a living. Y'all know that people out there doing it for a living, it's tough. It's tough. It really is. One night you somewhere else, and the next night you got to be somewhere else. And you better get there. Whatever means it takes, you better get there, you know. So it's not something you just talk about, just pulling out there and talk about. I don't, like I said, I don't talk about it a lot, but I know from which I came. You know, I come from a well-disciplined family, musical family. They thought the Jacksons had it in Indiana, the Bedells have it in Missouri. You know, and I had, because that's the truth. You know, there's not a Bedell that doesn't play an instrument. It's just who we are. If it's not piano, it's not drums, it's guitars. And now, after all my grandkids, none of them plays. None of them. My son, he writes, cello player, he writes. After that, my nephew writes, my cousin writes. But on the music side, they all, believe it or not, they are guitars. There's one drummer. You keep your eyes on him. His name is, he was named after my uncle. His name is David Bedell, out of Phoenix, Arizona. Taught by Uncle Dave. Have his own personal stick line. So go online, check out David Bedell. You go on to David Small Bedell. Bad boy. Bad boy, taught by my Uncle Dave ever since he was little. Protege, took him under his arms. And man, he is killer. He is killer. He's a bad boy. And you musicians out there, when I say a bad boy, you know what I mean to say he's a bad boy. He's a sticker. He can stick. He's a drum. You can tell he's the product of Dave Bedell. He smiles just like Uncle Dave and beat them drums like Uncle Dave. You know, I give my props to where they're due. Too bad there's no bass players out there anymore. But on my side, there's two. So the guitar line is still staying in the family, but it's, like I said, you got to love it to like it. I'm still doing it. I'm blessed to do it. I followed so many guys. Bebop Brown, God, man, you get guys like Bebop. You know, we were talking earlier. They said, we played the bebops. I said, well, which bebop are you talking about? You got the bebop where we go to Islandwood, right straight out 65. That used to happen place after hours. But that's where all your bands go after hours. Where you going? Man, we got to hurry up, pack up. We got to beat out to Idlewood and play a show at 1:30 to about 4 o'clock in the morning. But see, that was where it was at in Springfield. And y'all, you know I ain't lying. That's where it was at. Once you leave your club, get your money. Club on didn't understand how fast you can unload. Where you go? Man, we got to be at Bebop's. Your place is all right, but I'm going out to Idlewood. Now, that was the Idlewood, but he had another club on Summit Street called the 813. That 813 Lounge was a place where we, my brother Larry, and this drummer, Richard Allen, used to go at 15 years old, stand in the backyard. Bebop said, now little B, you can't come in here, but y'all can practice your singing back here in the backyard of the 813 Lounge. We hear Bebop, Eddie Eugene, my uncle's son, Bobby, we call him Bobby B, drummer, rhythm man, tear you up on some straight time on the drums, and Mope on keyboards. See, all of these people and we'll sit there and we'll listen to Bob play Red Top. Be-yaddy-da-da, and then we go leave and we go to practice, Red Top, be-yaddy-da-da. If it wasn't for that, it'd be over, because he didn't have to let us stay back there. He said, man, you kids, get that H out of here. You don't need to be here. He said, no, y'all stay in the backyard and listen to some music, and you practice back here and you're singing. 9 and 10 o'clock at night, down to Bebop's 813 Lounge, listen to Bebop. Didn't go in, but we stood there in the back and listened to Bebop play. And that's how we got the urge to play Red Top. Didn't know what we were doing, but we know when we heard Red Top, we know that was Bebop Brown. You know, Bob in the moon, there's another one called Satin Doll. He played Satin Doll like, you know, like slobber was in his horn. You're like, man, you know, but that's how we learned. That's how you tune your ear back then. You know, you tune your ear. If you couldn't read music real good, you better be able to listen to a record and pinpoint every instrument. You say, okay, man, you're playing the wrong rhythm there. Okay, man, your kick drum is not right. You know, no, you're not doing that right, because Bebop goes like this, and Dallas Barkley goes like this. So if you wasn't playing that and playing the beat like Dallas or the drums like Bobby B, you got the song wrong, because you heard it. So therefore, you learn your ear is fashioned to hearing different things. So that's why I was able, when I would get called for gigs, I'll listen to country, then I'll listen to the blues side, listen to jazz. Then I said, okay, I ain't doing that right. Because you develop that sample, listen to them old dudes, you know, you couldn't read because you're a kid, so you had to hear it. So my dad said, well, let me tell you one thing. If you can hum it, you can play it. I'll rest my case.
Thank you so much, Ernie. And now it's kind of a question period, and I have a question or two. One was Eddie Eugene. Was he from here?
No.
Yeah, I just remember him being around. He'd play, some of us remember him playing the Buffalo Bar and stuff like that. It was great. And Dallas Barkley, I knew him when he was still here and was the union rep and would show up at Lindbergh's or something.
Eat fried chicken.
Yeah, and he'd get ready, he'd be going to a concert to collect union dues and
Yep.
stuff, I mean, and since he played with Louis Jordan, if you've
Yeah.
ever heard that name. That's something, the local boy who played with Louis Jordan. And did Louis ever come to town? I mean, I'm sure he maybe drifted.
Well, if he did, it wasn't to my acknowledgement because Dallas done two things. He played the upright, but he also played electric. And he always tell me, little Beatty, if you're gonna play, I know you played that electric. He said, you know, check his upright out sometime, but keep on playing that electric. But play it this way, get this way, keep pressing, you're gonna be all right. You know, so he was an inspiration because I always wanted to be like Dallas Barkley, because he was the man. And he always say, then my brother Tommy come in and he said, okay, Ern, you Mr. Dallas like that. He said, but I tell you what I'm gonna do. If you're gonna be a real bass guitar player, you gotta play a 59 precision bass. So you know what? He bought me a 59 precision bass. So therefore, I'm supposed to be bona fide. So, still got it.
And ABS band, a few years ago, some friends went to New Year's Eve at the Downstream Casino. And if you can imagine, New Year's Eve at this casino, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It was ABS band, that's the, that.
Yeah,
That was tremendous, right?
yeah. That was a sellout.
Yeah.
That was, Brenda, you're there. GL.
So if I have a New Year's Eve party, can you come play it sometime?
Ernie. In your biography you gave me, you talked about Ms. Lucky, jazz guitarist.
Well, Mr. Lucky. Now, remember, coming up as a kid, all the musicians, including my dad and everybody, when they hanging out, drinking and partying and everything, they never did call some of them by the real name. Like the keyboarders, I always knew him as Mope, but I see Mope running back and forth over to my grandmother's house all the time in a little black suitcase, taking piano lessons from my grandma.
Wow.
But on Saturday night, Mope be playing with Bob. Mr. Lucky was the jazz guitar player. Now, it hurts me that you never know the guy's real name, but you say Mr. Lucky, I know Mr. Lucky, know him real well. Jazz guitars. Johnny Strickland would love to see had heard Mr. Lucky. Mr. Lucky had a little bitty amplifier and had a Epiphone guitar and played the mess out of it. He was Springfield's jazz guitar player.
That's all he was called, Mr. Lucky.
That's all we call Miss Lucky. And you know, I should know his real name, but I already knew him as Mr. Lucky. You know, and he was a lot. I was a kid, but everybody knew. And you know what? And you see Mr. Lucky with Bebop, playing with Bebop and Uncle Dave all the time. Yeah, killer jazz guitars.
So something I failed to do when I was up there is go around and introduce ourselves. And also we want to have questions from the crowd. So we got a question.
Ernie, a while back you did an article for us about Michael Burtz,
Yes.
and if you'd like to tell them your experience with.
Does anybody know who she's talking about? His name is Michael Burtz, blues guitarist.
He passed away a couple years ago.
Michael Burtz was the blues guitarist killer from down south. But Michael Burtz lived in Springfield.
Yes, he did.
Michael Burtz was my next door neighbor. He lived next door to my grandma, and Michael came from Arkansas. His brother Fred played tenor sax. In high school, he graduated. Chuck, where's Chuck at? Chuck, Fred Burtz, graduated with us. Played tenor sax. He marched. He comes from Arkansas. He marched like this. Everybody's feathers, Fred's feathers going like this, and his brother Michael was like 9 or 10 years old, and he'll come to practice, and he always want to play. And so we let Michael play in practice. And he's like, you 9, you 10 years old, you playing like that? Wow, dude, you're going to be the next B.B. King. So we nicknamed him B.B. Burtz.
Yeah.
And now, Michael passed away about 2 years ago. And Michael had 3, 4 CDs out. Let me see. 3 or 4 CDs out. And he's, sorry, y'all serious? There he is. There he is. Michael Burtz. And Michael spent a lot of time in Springfield. There's a lot of people in Springfield that Springfield don't know. And, you know, and it's cause of this, you know, you're able to at least get a handle on it. So Michael was one of the best blues guitarist players that you can see in the States. Michael was good.
We like to inspire the kids mainly.
Yes, Michael was good. His name's Michael Burtz. Go online, look up, and read a little bit of Michael Burtz. You know, I'm glad I had a chance to know him and do some picking with him. I'm not, you know, and so thanks a lot, Brendan. He's a bad boy. Yeah, I could.
Well, Ronnie, you had a picture of your family band from like the 1800s, and it had like 30 or 40 people. It was like,
There it is.
with so many people in the orchestra.
Yeah, that's it. It's the minstrels. That's my grandmother's. Yeah, that's my grandmother. All of them was the Willards. All was musicians. Now that's where we got all the music stuff from my grandma. I guess all the other stuff came from my dad. But all the musical side came from my grandma. This came from a musical family. Pianists and guitarists. Yeah, that's
What was her name?
Josie.
Josie what?
Josie Bedell, Josie Willard. And she's oh, and be like, that's grandma. That's grandma every Saturday morning. Early in the morning you hear them piano notes be really vibrating early in the morning, quiet morning, and then you hear her with my Uncle Lloyd, and boy he was one of them Dixie-lander pianists. You know, hands be doing boogie woogie. Boy, he'll boogie woogie you to death. You know, then you walk away. Anytime you hear music and you walk away and you find yourself humming what you just heard, that means that meant whatever they're playing, you better remember it, because and you did. You were playing boogie woogie. You know, so there's a reason when you got to remember what you hear and it sticks with you. There's a reason, because it's going to come back.
He's a different artist, but how's Gary Bedell related to you?
Well, there's my nephew, Gary Bedell. He's the other bassist. Then I have a Gary Bedell Jr., the artist.
Painter, yeah.
Wow, an artist is an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you guys are artists too.
Yeah, you know, there's a, you know, that I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. When you're a musician, you're an artist.
Just a different instrument.
Yeah, just you're right.
And he is what to you?
That's my nephew's, he's my cousin, that's my nephew's son. My brother's grandson. Well, you know, I think the people like y'all keep me straight, because I had to stop and think about it. Because there's 2 Garys, my nephew Gary and his son Gary, and one is an artist, and his dad is a bassist, and he came up in my era, and he always followed me. You know, so bass is his thing, and he's a good bass player. He just don't play as much as he likes to, but he's a good bass player, and he's a good artist.
More questions?
Bebop's, what a great place.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, everybody brings bands or groups to play, then they go out there. I've heard music when the light was coming out.
Yeah.
And different people would sit in with different bands. I mean, it was quite a mix.
It was the mix. That was that's the place where all the white dudes and all the brothers go out and play music.
That's right.
Well, you know, they all was the problem. No, it wasn't no problem. Now, you weren't the problem if you didn't want to go in there and hear some real music. I mean, now what happened on the way down there is a different story. You know, but once you got into the Idlewood, Man, there's some
Well,
real.
Mickey left us alone too. That was pretty good.
Yes, yes, yeah,
I told Ron Ginn to stay away.
yeah.
Stay away.
I think what killed everybody back then that you couldn't drive drunk on 65 because of curse.
You can find out before you got there.
Yes. But you gotta love it to like it. You learn.
One night, Mike Bungie took me by the 813.
Wow.
And to meet Bebop and to rent the club, and this had been in '69, I guess. And we renamed it the Odyssey Blues Party, and kept it open there for about 6 months or so until we all got in trouble, maybe.
Odyssey.
I think we rented it from Mr. Smith. Was that his son-in-law?
LL.
Is that right?
Yeah, see now, y'all knew, just in case y'all want to get, when you start passing out names like that, just want to go, someone said LL, oh, y'all just Smitty. Now let me tell you about LL. Now we call him LL. In the music world, y'all call him Smitty. In the music world, in the hood, that's LL. Now, you do two things when LL calls you for a gig. Two, one, you better get ready because he does time. That's rule number one. LL calls you, you better know when, you better have your count together because he'll midnight R you down to death. But if he's playing drums, you have to be able to play. You got to be a walking bass player. Period. Because LL is straight time. You know, what I call a straight time is like the shuffle. LL will shuffle you down. I see L fall asleep, him and Bobby B fall asleep on drums, and the shuffle will still be there. I don't know how they do it. I seen it, I played it, and I'm like, man, this dude's asleep. But the time was like, wow, man, wow. So like I said, man, a lot of this stuff you don't even tell people because they're, oh man, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, forget it. I'm gonna tell you what I seen, what I heard, you know. But LL is one of the guys. He was terribly missed, but he's a killer musician and a killer drummer. I mean, straight time drummer, shuffle drummer, and he loves the midnight hour. You know, he's a vocalist, but first of all, he was a shuffle drummer. He's another one of them drummers that around town that all of a sudden you forget until somebody says, LL, oh man, Smitty, or Bungie, yeah, the back in Granny's, Mike Bungie, take care of it. All right, and so that's man, the music world is tough in Springfield. It's tough in Springfield. It was a lot better back then than it is now. I'm just telling you the truth. It's a lot better back then than it is now. You know, because everybody went their own ways. Everybody doing all kind of music. Everything is electronic.
We had a union and everybody played.
Everybody had a union. We can go eat fried chicken. What day was union meeting? It was on Monday night or every Monday night. And Dallas Barkley was the one that got us in the union. You know, it wasn't for Dallas Barkley telling the KC Express, you better get in the union. You're running up and down that south too much.
Well, you had to be in union just playing Joplin or Ed would come in.
Yeah.
You would take
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah, take it. In Memphis, Tennessee, we showcased Isaac Hayes. We're getting ready to open up for Isaac Hayes. KC Express was. Curtain getting ready to open. Union man come there, double stack 45s, and said, I don't think you young men going to get on stage tonight if you can show me your union card. Okay. Fellas, pull your union card out. If it wasn't for that union card, there wasn't nothing going to happen that night.
Did you ever jam with Steve Cropper?
No, Duck, I did.
Well, yeah, that was Stax Records.
Yeah, well, see, the Express signed her, as you notice, that label that we was on there, it was because of that label, that's how we got our contract with Stax. recording studio. And the very first time I walked in Stax, coming down the hallway, Duck Dunn. Ooh, Duck. And I'm like 17, and there's Duck walking down. I'm like, man, that Duck Dunn. That's all we listened to, Booker T and the MGs. My brother thought he was Steve Cropper. Steve come from West Plains, you guys. He's from right here from West Plains. Moved to Memphis. And my Larry, my other brother, thought he was Booker T. So, and Joe thought he was Steve. I thought I was Duck. And Speedy, Tommy, thought he was Al Jackson. So we mimicked the Booker T and the MGs, you know. And my brother Larry, to go to the show, we used to take him and go, turn his ears, and he'll hum the keyboard part. That's how blessed my brother Larry was. Turn his ears. He said, oh man, do that Slim Jenkins joint. Wow, man, what's wrong with you? So we started playing, rewind. That's how we done music at the house. That's how we done music at the house. In order to remember parts, we go tell Larry, man, what's the part? And you know, like, he does that, man. I know it sounds weird, but that's how we done it. That's how we done it when we was coming up, you know. And Booker T and the MGs was one of our favorite. Booker T, the MGs, and James.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah, and you know who was after that? Roy Clark.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Hee Haw. We love Hee Haw. Didn't give a damn what went on. But when Roy then came up there, yeah, Roy they're getting ready to tear it up. Yeah. So it's like, Springfield wasn't bad. We had a chance to check out Roy. Yeah.